I know when I did like the first half of this season and then they announced that the second half was on a delay, I was like, calm down, it's gonna be okay, we're just gonna have to wait a few weeks. Because when I made that video, I was assuming we were only gonna have to wait a few weeks because that was the information, that it was just gonna come back at the end of January. But unfortunately, we had to wait until now. We had to wait until March, and that's because Amazon decided to throw in ads. And they wanted to make sure that people were subscribing and like paying more for the ad-free tier. So they wanted to have this, they wanted us already invested in Invincible so that we'd still pay, but they wanted us to wait so that by the time we get to it, they're like, fine, I don't want to watch the ads, I'll pay for the extra bit. So my first complaint is that I had to watch it with ads, and I hate ads, so shake fist at the cloud. But Invincible's back, and it's as good as it has been the whole time. Like I said, I've read the whole comic. I will try to be withholding of future spoilers, but we're getting into some really fun stuff from the comics that I really enjoyed. Where we left off last episode, Mark had been summoned to an alien world because his dad, Nolan, had found a bunch of bug people and was their leader, and wanted to reconnect with Mark. And also because he abandoned his post, and that means the Viltrumites are coming for him. He wanted Mark to train with him to help fight them, but then the Viltrumites showed up right away and kicked their asses and took Nolan to be executed. Nolan's not executed yet, but they took him away to be executed and told Mark, you got to go back home and prepare Earth for our arrival, and if you don't, we're just going to kill them all. So that's where it left off. Where we're at here is that Mark takes him about 2 months to get back to Earth, but he also brings his little purple baby brother, because Nolan had a baby with one of the mantis people, and even though the mantis people have green skin, the baby ends up just looking like a purple human. But because the mantis people have accelerated lifespans, the baby is like, even though he's only a couple months old, he's like the size of a toddler now. And he's going to continue rapidly aging, and which means we're going to have him as a more prominent character once he gets older. Like, that just seems obvious. But for now, we just have Mark's mom having to deal with a new son from her estranged husband. That's I'm sure we're going to get more into all of that. But this episode had quite a lot of stuff to get through, so we didn't spend a lot of time on that. But the show is really good at like fleshing out Debbie's whole storyline far more than the comics did. So like, I'm sure we're going to see her dealing with the conflicting feelings of, here's a baby, he needs to be taken care of, but also my husband, who murdered a whole bunch of people and left, just had a kid and now I get dumped with it. There's like couple running plot lines, like we know Donald, the government agent who works with Cecil, who we thought was killed at the end of season 1 when trying to stop Nolan. He's been unaware of what happened, but he finds out in this episode that he's just a brain in a robot body now, that they were able to save his brain but nothing else, and so they put him in a robot body and didn't tell him, I think because of, trauma and everything like that. But we'll see how much they go into that. Donald's character was expanded a lot from the comics, I feel. They kind of glossed over the fact that, oh yeah, no, I'm a cyborg now, but I guess they wanted to get into, the actual psychology of waking up and realizing, wait, you guys did something to me and I didn't know. So I think that's an interesting storyline to get through. But in terms of the action for this, we've actually got 2 competing enemy threats, because the Lizard League have taken over a military base, but also the Sequids on Mars, those little like tentacle brain things that they've taken control of the human astronaut that was left there, and he's now like taking control of a big Martian ship that's going to come to Earth, and the Sequids are going to like enslave humanity, so they have to send all of their superheroes who have impenetrable skin to go deal with that. while all the B team of the Guardians of the Globe is sent to deal with the Lizard League because the Lizard League are kind of jokes, right? But I've read the comics, so I knew, oh yeah, the Lizard League, they're a joke, right? But unfortunately, you're gonna see some deaths. I will wait until next week to talk about who died, because, you know, go see the episode, but it's kind of devastating that a joke villain, the Lizard League, would actually end up killing people. So we'll see how they deal with that. And the episode ends on kind of a cliffhanger. They're still dealing with the Sequids. They're fighting them on the spaceship, and well, we don't really know the status of pretty much anybody on Earth at this point with the Lizard League. So we'll see what happens there. But we do know, and this is probably this is like the silliest part of the episode. Last episode, after Alan got his ass kicked by, or was it last episode or 2 episodes? Alan got his ass kicked by the Viltrumites, and then like got unplugged from his like life support machine by the leader of the Space Federation or whatever it's called. I think it's called the Coalition. This episode, he wakes up and he's got this big, massive, muscular new body, and it turns out that Thetis, the guy who had unplugged him, did it to basically force his body to adapt and become powerful enough to be somebody who could take on a Viltrumite one by one, and it now looks like he can. But in the funniest moment, this guy, this elder-looking guy, grabs his beard and rips it off, leaving behind just the mustache, to reveal that he's a Viltrumite, as if a mustache is like an inherent property of being a Viltrumite, and that no humanoid species other than Viltrumites have mustaches, even though on Earth we clearly have mustaches. So like, he rips off his beard, and the first thing Alan goes is, "You're a Viltrumite." And it's silly. But anyway, Thetis is he's the only Viltrumite to have ever rebelled against the Viltrum Empire until Alan reported about Mark. And so because of that, because he's like, oh, we've got another Viltrumite who's defying the Empire, we might have a chance to fight them. So Alan is now being sent to make sure that Mark has allies, and they can build an army to defeat the Viltrumites, maybe. Anyway, Admiral Paco says, me hiding my cat's mustache. Hey, listen, Paco, your cat will outlive you, and he will destroy the planet. I'm sorry. It is very silly that like that is the defining feature of Viltrumites, is like all the men sport mustaches, even though like we can very clearly see that they can grow full facial hair, right? Like Nolan, when he was on the alien planet, he just had grown like a misery beard. So like it's a choice for the Viltrumites to have a mustache, right? Like it's a cultural thing as a sign of like, you know, masculine virility, but it's not something inherent. It's not like, oh yes, Viltrumites all have mustaches, but only mustaches. They have full facial hair. They just choose to shave it into a mustache. So to rip off your beard to reveal a mustache, I feel like at that point you're just like, oh, well, your mustache hairs just weren't long enough to be ripped off when you ripped off everything else. It's silly. The logic of the scene it's silly, and it was just as silly when that happened in the comic. I like the show. It's just it's goofy. Sideful says, I only have a mustache. Well, stay the fuck away from Earth, okay? You can't have our planet. This is ours. We'll fight you. Too late. Anyway, that's my thoughts on this week's episode of Invincible, and we'll get to the next one when we get to it. Hey, thanks for watching. Your view means a lot. Don't forget to toss me a like and subscribe and ring the bell, and drop a comment below telling me what you thought of the video. I stream Mondays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Pacific, so catch me live and join in on the convo. You can find all my socials in the description below, and thank you to all my patrons, with a very special shout out to my Whale Shark tier patrons Ryan D and James Knight, and my Anemone Friend tier patron Piftle Cakes. Your support means the world. Catch you next time.